I am so excited to have Morgan here with us today. I was just telling her momentarily ago or moments ago that I was so impressed when she had emailed a group of private practice providers and shared a little bit of her story. And reading through it, I was like, I need to talk to this woman. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
So, kind of diving right in, I would love to learn a little bit more about you, about your family, your work as a speech language pathologist,
Yeah.
and what life looks like right now in this season as a mom of four.
Yeah, so actually, just recently, I decided to go independent. I've been doing early intervention in preschool speech therapy for 12 years, I think now. I'm a mom of four, and I also am very involved. So I coach, and my husband coaches. So we're doing all the things.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure it keeps you very busy.
Oh, yes.
And before you were kind of at this place doing like the coaching and all of the things, you experienced a 7 week kind of hospital stay, and I'm sure as a mother, I can only imagine how stressful and scary that was. And I'm wondering, can you kind of take us back to that
Yeah.
season? What was it like physically, emotionally, mentally, both as a mom and as a professional who's used to kind of helping others?
Right. Yeah. So I actually was working up until I had to go stay in Strong for 7 weeks, but I can just go right from the beginning. So last spring, I had my son Danny. He was born at 33 weeks and 5 days. I was diagnosed with a high-risk pregnancy called placenta previa. So for those that don't know what that is, the placenta is what provides nutrients to the baby, and that's what's connected to the mother, but mine sat right on top of my cervix and never moved. And so what happens as you get more pregnant is that when the cervix starts to move, it can touch the placenta and that can cause life-threatening bleeds. And so I had to be as close to the medical care as possible for my safety and for Danny's safety. Um, so I lived it strong for 7 weeks.
What was that like? What was going through your head during that time?
Um,
Because that 7 weeks is nothing to kind of sneeze at. That's a
yeah.
significant amount of time.
Yeah, it was really hard. My family and my husband they were amazing. We live probably like 15 minutes from Strong. So I was one of the lucky ones. I had a visitor almost every day. My husband worked remotely from my room. So I every day that he was able to come, I could see other people that also lived on the floor. It's called antepartum, which is everybody knows what postpartum is, but antepartum is before pregnancy. So there could be a number of reasons why someone has to stay there, whether it's severe preeclampsia, your water breaks too early, placenta previa. There's a whole list if you have high risk twins. But not a lot of people know that there's people living in the hospital. It was super stressful. The care was always incredible. I've never ever had anything bad to say about the doctors, the nurses, the techs. Everyone was amazing. Where I am trying to change it is the mental health part of it was really hard. Um, the hospital is not made to live in. So my kids at the time were 7, 5, and 3, and they came almost every day. So parenting is hard. Parenting is hard. But parenting in a hospital is really hard. You don't have the safety of four walls. It's unpredictable. Kids are unpredictable. You're always trying to find the safest spot for them, but you're completely surrounded by strangers all the time. Um, and so just trying to figure out a schedule with our families and Mike's work and keeping the house together and keeping them on schedules. We did get into a routine, but it's really hard.
Yeah, yeah. And then after that amount of time, then you have this new life with you too. So then
Yeah.
it's kind of incorporating this new wonderful bundle of joy into the mix of parenting and then figuring out all of the pieces too. And so out of this really incredible experience that you went through, you created the Wait With You Foundation. And what was the moment that you realized, like, I need to do something with this? What was
Yeah.
kind of the jumping off point for that?
Yeah, actually, it was like a very specific moment. I remember a girl came in from the Utica area and she was visibly upset and I felt guilty because I could have a visitor every day and You just can't. If you don't live within the Rochester area, someone can't come every day. And if you have kids, like the kids have to go to school, or if you have a spouse, they have to go to work. And so I just sat there and I just kept saying to my husband, like, something has to change. I was like, this is bad. And like everybody knows it's not, I'm not the first person to say that the correlation between maternal mental health and positive outcomes is so strong. And so at Christmas, I mean, I think about that floor daily. And at Christmas, I wanted to just give everyone a gift. And so I posted my Amazon wish list and I posted my Venmo. And I was just hoping that, I don't know, a couple, maybe my aunts and uncles and parents would buy, help buy gifts. And the support was overwhelming, in the best way possible. I had posted like so when Mike would come with the kids, he had to think of like activities for them to do, snacks, games, anything. And then I also posted like hygiene products, a fuzzy blanket, an eye mask, just anything that I would have needed that I didn't have access to. And then after all that support in December, I said to Mike, so I think we're starting a nonprofit because that if my family and friends alone could do that, I mean, I know Rochester can do so much more.
Yeah.
And so we started a nonprofit.
I love that because you're right. I'm sure lots of people in a situation where could feel that, oh, mental health isn't
Mhm.
really thriving here because not only is it scary, it's stressful. I'm sure it's really
Yeah.
lonely. You're not able to do what you typically would do. You're not necessarily able to be out at the park with your kids or whatever it might be. So, especially for those women who are kind of isolated in that, I can only imagine what
Yeah.
that's like. So, the fact that you're able to not only experience that, but then do something with that is huge. And so,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what has been the most meaningful part of supporting other families through the
Yeah.
foundation?
I mean, just the outreach in itself, probably over 25 people have texted me now saying, I lived on 312. I'm so proud of you for doing something. And then in my head, like I just wake up, like the adrenaline is still pu like pumping through me, like, wait, there's this many sad people, and I'm the first person to do something. Like, wait a minute. So if I could get like those people behind me to be like, no, 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 you need to change this. It was bad. And I keep saying that it was bad, but it doesn't have to be that bad. Like everyone knows that mental health plays a huge part in the outcome of this. And so if we could just provide a little more love to the person that the baby's coming out of, the outcomes could be amazing.
Absolutely. Well, and there's such a huge correlation too between mother's mental health and different factors with the baby. So it's like
Yeah.
if we can support her mental health, then we have better. I don't know the science behind it, so but I do remember learning about how there's a correlation between the mother's, like if a
Oh,
mother's prone
for
to
sure.
anxiety or depression, things like that, then
Yeah.
that maybe you can speak to that, but the baby has a higher chance of
Yeah.
struggling
Yeah.
with those things as well. So it's like if we can support the mother's mental health, we can help support her baby, but also thinking about what our bodies are going through in terms of hormonal changes, physical changes, exhaustion, things like that. Like if we can set these women up for success, I can only imagine.
Yeah, because I said I mean the hard part was that I had three at home, but like the silver lining was I already knew I could be a mom and I love being a mom. But I just kept thinking of the people there that had never been a parent before. And so they already have that anxiety. Plus they have a high risk pregnancy, plus the odds of you going to the NICU are already high. So I just keep saying like you have the trauma of a high risk pregnancy, the trauma of your stay, the anxiety of being a new parent, and then you just walk out the door and you just walk into the NICU, and now you have a NICU experience. So I just said, when you get to the NICU, it's kind of like the heaven doors open, like it's bright and everyone's happy, and I'm like, I was only like 30 yards away. You could have come and got me. So I just was like, we gotta figure out how to kind of fix this disconnect of support because I mean I think unfortunately it's kind of like a society norm that the women just you just do it and you don't complain, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you could have better outcomes if you just maybe a little love, maybe a little support.
Yeah, yeah. When I think I do see where like society is changing in some positive
Yeah,
ways, but we do still
yeah,
tend to gaslight ourselves, especially as
yeah,
mothers and as women. It's
yeah,
like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, I can deal with it. But it's like, really, because you can doesn't mean you should or
yeah,
have
yeah,
to. So
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
it takes people like you to acknowledge that, to do something about it, because it really does impact that whole experience. Because as you mentioned, like having a baby, especially first time with high risk, things like that's really scary, but also it could be the most exciting, wonderful time too.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I
it's
agree. And it's also the time that there was a nurse there. She specialized in psych and she left to go back to psych actually, but she was just saying that, you know, so many women are prone to postpartum mental health issues and this experience is going to exacerbate it. Like, I mean, you don't get to nest. I felt terrible because there were people they didn't get their baby shower. They don't get their maternity photos. There's just so many things that like if you put them separately, they don't seem like a big deal, but they are a big deal. Like you know, the only thing you feel control in is like setting up the nursery, or having the stuff, but that's all completely taken away from you. And so yeah, just I'm just trying to make it a little better.
Yeah, no, I love that. One, because I am a huge proponent of we have these experiences and we kind of have two choices with them, right? Like they can make us or they can break us.
Mhm.
And it seems like you used your situation to make something really beautiful out of it. And so we need more people like that, because
Oh, thanks.
there are so many wonderful things about the world, like I had mentioned, but there are so many like darker, shadowy spots. So it's like if we can shine some light on it and make it a little positive, why not?
Right.
Because if you're going through it, someone else is going through it. If I'm going through something, someone else is going through it. So
Yeah,
it's like,
for
what
sure.
what can we do to
Yeah.
support them? And so I was wondering, so much of motherhood happens kind of behind closed doors, especially during medical challenges. What's something about high risk pregnancy or prolonged hospital stays that people don't really understand until they've lived it? Like we understand, like I don't know, as an outsider, it's like, yeah, it makes sense that they would be sad or depressed or what have you. But what is kind of something that you wish people understood that really they don't without
Yeah.
experience?
So like one of the hardest parts is that you have to have a roommate. And so you actually live two high risk pregnancies at the same time. And you're divided by a shower curtain. And so like just and I'm very empathetic. Like if someone is in the room with me and I know they're not okay, I'm constantly going to be like, is she good? Like am I supposed to help her? So that was hard. I had 14 different roommates. And then where the floor is like every window, it just looks at a brick wall. And so it's just not set up to me in the best way possible. I mean, like I feel like privacy is a huge thing. Like you can't really truly be yourself if you are with a stranger and also their guests. So, you know, whenever someone would ask me, "How are you?" I'm always, you know, I was just raised to be, "I'm fine. How are you?" You're not fine. You're actually opposite that, but you're not going to complain. So, I think just yeah, I think just juggling to you try to convince yourself stay positive because in order to for the baby to be okay, you got to stay as pregnant as long as possible. But in order to go home, you have to give birth. So it's just there was so much mental health that goes into it that you just dated. You literally have to, at one point, my husband and I just were taking it day by day. And it like that sounds simple, but it's day by day.
Yeah, yeah. And again, with an extended stay day by day, I'm sure at some point it gets a little disheartening because it's like, oh
Yeah.
gosh, I've done day by day for 40 days now and I have how many left? So I'm
Right.
sure.
And the hard part too is so you know, some people who go in with preeclampsia, they just say we want you to get to 34 and then so they had a definite date where mine, if I didn't have like I had a bleed and then I would go like 3 weeks without having one. And so then they're like, okay, well our goal was 36, maybe we'll try for 37. And so to sit there and also too, I think that's one of the hardest parts is you're always talking about your high risk pregnancy. Like when you're pregnant and not in this experience, like you yourself think about it all the time, but like everyone's not always talking about it. But when you're in it and you have checks at 8, 12, 4, and then the Pyrus team rounds on you, and then the medical students round, and like everyone's always talking about it. It's literally all you talk about the whole time you're there. And there's just no escape. So I think that definitely played into how hard this was.
Yeah. While you were there, you talked about you had 14 different roommates. What was that like? Obviously, you were constantly meeting new people, but
Yeah.
did that help with in terms of like camaraderie? Like what was that?
Yeah. I mean, some roommates were wonderful, but then, they would be there for a day. They'd be there for 2 days. It wasn't the person, but like I was in the room when someone lost a pregnancy. I was in the room. I feel like I was like the good luck Chuck. If you wanted to go into labor, come on, come with me. So that was hard because I was just like, I'm still here. And like everyone, it just felt like everyone just kept coming in and out. But the hard part is that not all the roommates were were great. There was one experience that like I felt my safety I stood up and I asked to be moved because the tricky part is that there's really not a screening for who's there. Like I don't know who's sitting next to me, and I don't know who they have sitting next to them. And so just by listening to conversations, there was just times where I was like, "Yep, nope, my kids can't be around this situation," and I just would stand up and say, I've been wonderful, and please move me." And I get that that's life. That's you don't know who you're going to be roommates with, but I know that some people like it's really cute because they like met their best friends, and so they like decorated their rooms and they were able to like get through it together. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the case for everybody. So it's like a wide spectrum, I should say. Like there were some really, really wonderful experiences and some not so wonderful experiences.
Yeah, which is as life is, right? We meet
Right.
some really, really great people and we meet some people where we're like, oh, maybe distance is best. But in
Yeah.
that situation, I have to imagine that's really difficult because you don't have that sense of control. And
Hmm.
whereas in the real world outside of the hospital, it's like you can choose who you spend your
Yeah,
time with
exactly.
and who your children are around too. So I can
Right,
imagine
right.
that's a stressful
Yeah.
situation trying
Hmm.
to navigate. Was there a moment that fear really hit
Hmm.
or was it a specific moment or just yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so the way placenta previa works, at least it's strong, is like it's kind of like a three strikes and you're out. Like if you have three bad bleeds, that is an indication of your body is unpredictable and you need to be as close as possible. And so I think what like really broke me was when it happened again, because you kind of feel like it's your fault. And I know it's not my fault, but it felt like it was my fault. Like, oh, if I didn't vacuum, maybe it wouldn't have done, or oh, if I didn't, walk up the stairs, but none of that caused it. It just did. But yeah, it was actually unfortunately on my husband's birthday, and we went in and when the doctor came in and said like you can't go home, I mean, I could go home. It was highly suggested I didn't go home. But that probably was when, because you don't actually think someone's going to make you live in the hospital for that long. I mean, so I went in on St. Patrick's Day and I was due June 18th. And
Wow.
so I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that someone can do this. And they do.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do.
Well, and it's interesting you talk about like the looking for like what did I do? Was there something I do? Because I relate to that. A little bit about me, I have a 17-year-old son. He's deaf. He was born deaf,
Mhm.
and he is the coolest human being. Like I'm obsessed with my boys. But early on, he was diagnosed as deaf when he was 4 months old. And I
Mhm.
went through kind of a similar thing. I'm like, what did my body do?
Yeah.
I felt so guilty because I was like, this must be me. Like I
Yes.
did I eat something I shouldn't
Yeah.
have? Was I around loud music? Like what
Yes.
did I do?
Did I
And
walk into a table? Like, oh yeah,
yeah,
the same.
yeah. So it's so funny because like from the outside, like people are like, obviously you didn't do anything. And I'm like, I know this. I know I didn't
Yeah,
do
I
anything. But
know that.
yeah. And so it's like looking at him now, like his deafness is such a wonderful gift to not only him, but his family, all of us, all of the things that he's doing because of it that I don't think we would have come across
Yeah.
otherwise. But it's just
Mhm.
so funny thinking back to those early days. I'm like, this is my fault. My body
Yep,
failed
I
me.
did
And
it. It's me.
yeah,
Well, because when you're not in control and you can't blame it on something, you just blame yourself. And so truly every time I had a bleed, I was like, oh, it was because I don't know, I anything. I ate an orange. Like, no, it's just because.
yeah, yep. Nope. I was convinced because someone talked to my belly. I was like,
Yeah.
she talked too loud. That must be
Yep. It must have been
Yep, yep. So
it.
I appreciate you sharing that because it's a lot more common than people think
Oh,
to like
yeah.
blame yourself. Because I
Yeah.
think that's one of those things that we don't always share aloud. So it's
Mhm.
nice when someone does to
Yes.
normalize that. So kind of switching gears,
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about your nonprofit, and it seems like community, especially with working in the community as a speech language pathologist and with your nonprofit, it seems to be a huge part of who you are. As moms, many of us struggle to ask for help. And I'm curious, why has motherhood or being a professional, what has it taught you about receiving support and asking for help?
Yeah, I feel like this was the biggest lesson this year with really taking on going independent and a nonprofit and being a mom of four, that I'm learning that you have to delegate. Like you and people want to help. I mean, this is like a huge emphasis on the nonprofit. Like people want to help, but I'm learning that people they don't know how to help. So I just ask. I just keep and no one tells me no. I'll be like, "Do you want to be a sponsor of the foundation?" They're like, "Absolutely." But if I post something just general, no one thinks like, "Oh, that's for me. I should do that." So I'm learning even through the nonprofit or like being a mom, like you have to be specific. You can't just anticipate that someone's going to do it and do it exactly like you thought they would. So yeah, it's hard to ask for help, but especially when during our stay, it was, well, that was a requirement for help. But yeah, if you ask, most of the time someone will help you.
And I love the distinction too between specific versus general,
Mhm.
because a lot of times I'll speak on my behalf. I will be the super mom. I can do it all. I don't need anyone's help. And then I hit a point where it's like, oh gosh, I am drowning. I need help. And then I'm crying out for help. And I feel like no one's helping. But to your point, it's so general. People don't know how
Yeah.
to help unless you're specific. Um,
Yeah.
so even if it's like, hey, you know what? Could you pick up, I don't know, groceries for me? These are the
Yeah.
things I need,
Yeah.
or I need this package to be mailed out.
Mhm.
Because then people have direction. It's not that they don't want to help, they don't know how. And
Yeah.
so their brains are kind of spinning like, I want to do something, but I don't know how to do anything. So then they just kind of don't do anything.
Right. Then they do. Well, and I learned too that like they just assume someone else will do it,
Mm.
which is a hard assumption. Like for example, oh my gosh, it's so funny because I don't know what the correlation is, but the dental community has been so supportive of this foundation, whether it's monetary or in, in-kind items. But like I said, there's something about dentists that they love this mission, they love doing it, but like that's the example of people keep showing up in different ways. Or like Breathe Yoga, they're doing a whole month of a fundraiser, or Finger Lakes Coffee, they just named their two locations, they just named their cold brew after us, and the proceeds go to the foundation. Like people are finding different ways to help, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, to your point, I think you just have to, even though it's hard and it makes you nervous and you don't like it, like asking for help is better than carrying it all.
Exactly. Especially as a mom, especially as
Mhm.
if you're a working mom. And even if you're not a working mom outside of the house, you're a working mom in the house. Like we are
Yeah,
always working, we're always busy, we
exactly.
always have something. So you mentioned some really cool ways that some businesses are starting to help out and work for the cause. But what about the average day-to-day person? What are some things
Yeah.
that they could do?
Yeah, so I mean, if it's just if you just want to make like a monetary donation, we have a Venmo, a PayPal. It's Zephy is the nonprofit. We have an Amazon wish list. So every month I donate, well, I should say we donate comfort kits. So usually when you go to antepartum, it's an emergency. So the one, first three times I went, we didn't pack a bag because I was like, I'm 18 weeks. They're not going to keep me. Well, so my last time I went, I was 26 weeks, and that's after that. But so when you are admitted to antepartum, everyone is given a bag. And so in it, there's a blanket, there's an eye mask, and then there's hygiene products. There's a handwritten letter from us with like a voucher for a free coffee downstairs. And just like a letter just saying like you're you're not alone. You're not the first person to come here. It feels like it. It feels like there's no way that someone has ever experienced this, and unfortunately they have. And then some other ways you could give back is we're doing a dinner this summer, so you could be a sponsor of the dinner. You could buy raffle tickets, which we haven't posted the tickets for the dinner or the raffle, but we're just finding more and more ways. Some people have hosted like donation drives. So they've asked the community for products like that. We also collaborate with the NICU, and so I've reached out to preschools, and they're hosting NICU clothing drives. So that's really cool too, because what's really cute is these clothes drives, they're actually getting clothes back that have like the Golisano label in them. So their baby was in the NICU, and so like the clothes are coming back in, which I was like, that's to like kind of, along the lines of what I'm doing, like they're giving back something that they were given. So I'm just like, if the community could keep like it can get better. It's not great. Like I don't there's always going to be high risk pregnancies and there's always going to be NICU babies, but we can make it better.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's something that impacts all of us in one way
Yeah.
or another.
Yeah.
We all obviously were born. We all know women who will have babies if we're not the women who are having the babies. This is something that impacts any and every one of us.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a part of it too, because it hits so close to home for so
Yeah,
many people. So
for
it's
sure.
amazing that people are giving back. And I love the idea of some of the clothes and items coming back
It's
because
really cute.
I have to imagine that gives the moms and the dads and the family some hope too, because it's like, oh wait,
Mhm.
we will have a life outside of this.
Yes. Yeah, we could get these clothes back. We will
Yeah,
get these
yep,
clothes back. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's been really great. I mean, the NICU, the care was incredible. They were so compassionate and it's crazy too to work with birth to five and to know that like the babies I saw as I walked to Danny's room were like one day possibly the babies I'll get to work with. Like it was just like the full circle moments that just I'm like, okay, like maybe like see you in like 2 years. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know. Business cards. No, I'm just kidding.
right? Like, wait, were you Danny's neighbor?
Yeah, I love that. And which kind of makes me wonder too, how did your children do kind of navigating that whole situation?
They, it's still actually, I just was talking to my third's preschool. He definitely is still having, I think, some trauma from that experience. He just had his tonsils out 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, "Are you going to take me to the hospital and make me stay there forever?" And I was like, "Oh God." So like to know like that was really hard. I mean, my oldest was 7, so he had a concept of time and he knew how long that was, and that was insanely long. And his elementary school was awesome. The assistant principal would ask him if he ever needed to, he could FaceTime me, which that's like unheard of to be that compassionate and understanding that like what he's going through, it's very rare, which it's actually kind of crazy. There was another little one who in his school we there was another mom on antepartum, so I'm like that probably never happens, but yeah, just the mental health aspect of that, but they were really resilient. I mean, it oddly became exciting for them, which is great because it shows you that kids really can make the best of anything. We had their birthday parties in a conference room, like, and they still talk about it. I'm like, there's better birthday parties. It's okay. But no, they made the best of what they could. And they're very happy I'm home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can imagine. And at least the bar was set pretty low with the conference room birthday party, so anything
Yes.
this year will be great.
Yes.
But no, that shows how resilient kids are, but also it speaks volumes to you and your husband and your community because you helped pave the way for them to have that experience.
Yeah.
Because our children are little sponges. So if you were going in there like, this is awful, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. And I'm sure there were moments like
Yeah.
that. But if that was just how you kind of came at it, your kids would pick up on that. But if it's like, you know what, this is what we have to do. And we like, I'm sure in those times the gears were turning on how you're going to help support in the future, things like
Yeah.
that. So then your kids are picking up on that. So
Yeah.
it's a season that you all went through, but it seems like it's going to make you stronger as a family, but also stronger contributors to society as well, which is
Absolutely.
incredible. Yeah, so kind of as we wrap up, I know you had mentioned some ways to donate and you kind of touched on an event that you're coming up, but could you share a little bit more about that and then also where people can find you? And I'll be linking all this in the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's called Dinner Under the Stars. It's going to be at Kettle Ridge Farm in Victor. So it's going to be, hopefully, if the weather cooperates, it's going to be an outdoor dinner, like a family farm style serving. And the tickets will go on sale. So right now we kind of open it up just to like our friends and family. The original plan was it was just supposed to be a small thank you to friends and family. It's much bigger than that now. And that's okay. It's great. So we'll post the tickets soon, and then the raffle baskets, we're gonna open up sales, I think 3 weeks before the event. So you don't have to be present to win. So that's pretty cool. I mean, but we've had some really, really great donations. Like the Buffalo Bills donated a signed cleat. Everywhere I've asked, like the Nighthawks, Amerks, restaurants, kid play places, like everyone has been donating. So if you would love to donate towards the raffle baskets, that's a great contribution. Um, and then yeah, just reach out to our website. It's thewaitwithyoufoundation.org. And under the tab, ways to help, there's also that. But there's also too a resources page that's super helpful for families. But I've been putting together links. So, for example, there's a tab for mental health, there's a tab for support after the NICU, there's a tab for support after loss, there's a tab for so many things, yoga, meditation, acupuncture, pelvic floor PT. I'm just trying to show families like I know you don't feel like you're in a good spot, but there's stuff out there to make you feel better. Um, and I think too, like you don't like, for example, I knew because of the line of work I was in that where Danny was at developmentally, I knew to adjust it to his due date. But if you don't do what we do, you think your kid's delayed. And I mean, technically on paper he is, but I know to adjust my expectations. And I think that's an important skill to like teach the NICU community. Like Danny's not supposed to know how to breathe by himself. Danny's not supposed to eat a bottle yet. And so like he just turned 1, but he just started crawling and it's just the cutest thing ever. But like the hard part is like at his first appointment, for 1 year appointment, they just said like, is he walking yet? And I was like, well, no, he's not supposed to be. Like he's really only 10 and a half months. So yeah, I think that's a like an important lesson as like speech language pathologist, but also just in general too, just to be sensitive to the questions that you're asking any parent because you don't actually know when their kid was born. You don't actually know anything they've gone through. So just like lead with caution and be compassionate. Um, I feel like are great life lessons.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's such an important point because as parents, especially if our child had any sort of challenges or unique needs, we already do carry a lot of shame and guilt. So those questions hit
Yeah.
really, really tough. Um, Real quick with my son, when we'd ask those questions, I can't tell you how many times I would sit in my car and cry because I'm like, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. And for him, he wasn't supposed to, kind of to your point, right? So, but as a parent, even with having the background that I have, I still felt that shame and guilt. So
Yeah.
it's giving yourself compassion, but then also our healthcare providers, well-intentioned, yes, but be empathetic with how you ask these questions and take into consideration how they might hit because
Yeah.
every child is different.
Yeah. And I actually said when I was at the pediatrician, he might have been like 6 months at the time. And I said to him, I go, can you please stop giving me the milestones for a 6 month old? Because he's not doing any of these things and he's not supposed to. Like, so if you, I don't, I hope I didn't come off as spicy as that sounds, but I just wanted to be like, maybe moving forward, you could give 2 papers. You could give 6 month milestones and where they're actually at milestones, because that would make a parent feel so much better.
Mhm.
Because if you always read the milestones at which they're supposed to be at, you're always failing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's that's not great.
No, no, and I think that was probably really great for that pediatrician too, because they probably didn't think about it. And then
No,
you,
and I don't think they did it with the intention
right.
to hurt my feelings or anything like that, but I just was like, I know, I'm sure it's not even on the chart. Like, I'm sure it just says, Danny, 6-month appointment, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, maybe in his chart, then you could say adjusted age 4.5.
Yep. Yep.
Something to prompt the conversation of, I understand he's not hitting these yet, but that's okay.
Mhm.
And then if he's not hitting the 4.5 milestones, like let's talk about it. But
Right.
let's just, yeah. I'm like, man, this kid already is trying real hard. Like, let's cut him a
Give him
break.
credit for this. Yeah. But my thought is this pediatrician, next time he goes into an appointment, he or she is going to think twice and
Yeah,
maybe ask some more
yeah,
questions to
yeah,
give better quality of care to not only the child, but the parents as
yeah,
well.
yeah, for sure. And I was like, I don't think, and I did it very kindly and not ill-intentioned, but it's like it's a great life lesson, especially like with the line of work we do. I mean, meeting the kid where they're at. I mean, I've had so many kids that were born early, and like this really opened my eyes to be like, oh, this is important. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
not supposed to be hitting these milestones yet.
Yep. Yep. And normalizing that for the parents is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah.
But I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I have loved this conversation and I'm so excited to support your foundation. So I
Oh,
know I will for sure be doing that. And then, like I mentioned, everything will be linked in the show notes so people can support you too. But I wish you nothing but the best because this is such an important mission that, like you mentioned, really isn't talked about as much as it should be. So I'm
yeah.
really excited for it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Parenthood Unscripted. If today's conversation resonated with you, please share it with another parent who might need it. You can follow along on Instagram at Parenthood Unscripted for updates, clips, and future guest announcements. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you next time.